Back here again, you might recognise it. Yep, Box Hill. It's amazing how busy this road is, even though, as you can see, it's a wet day. That is not 30. Wow. Beautiful as ever. I remember being here with Molly and Paul. And how exhausting this hill is, but it's an easier way of getting into Box Hill than going all the way up Barry's Bank. Just up there. A lot of grass, and as it's been raining, it's quite steep. That's when you slip. This is the fort at Box Hill, day 1800. London Defence Scheme. I always wanted to show Molly and Paul this when we were up here. As you usually did, got up very late and we got busted by a toddler and it didn't happen. I've done paintings of the fort and drawings. In lockdown I actually drew it from memory, part of it. But yeah, I sat on that. It's a bit overgrown now. Years ago I sat on that up there and did a painting of it. But I've seen people getting inside. I don't know, there used to be, or there was a way in. I don't think you can get down there. I'm trying to get away from the Glockles. I had to sort of walk past all the millions of people around the viewpoint. It's interesting how people are walking down here and they're walking straight back again and they're realising that it doesn't go anywhere. Well, it does. It goes to Reigate and Dover. It's lovely sunny weather. I haven't got my sunshades, of course. But actually the weather is mixed. It was raining on the way up and now it's like this. I've got her a bit late, but it's not too bad. I know I can camp around Reigate, which is about 7 miles away. Probably get past that actually, but so that's my fallback. So I wasn't going to stress too much about doing 12 miles today. Let's do some walking. Oh, this is way better. Getting away from the sirens and the screaming children and the barking dogs and I love the cars and I know famous last words. I'm getting less tolerant about noise as I get older. I don't know whether it's the neurodivergence more asserting itself or I'm becoming more like John and becoming a misophone. It was like that on the bus. I had to move because I was sitting underneath the tannoy system and the bus driver turned it up to maximum or something. Especially if you spend any time away, you then start to realise how noisy it really is. Ah, that's very different. I don't know if you remember me doing that with Molly in January. This was just all muddy. Even with all that rainfall, that's nowhere near what it was like in January. I probably won't film much of this section. It's a bit of a repeat. Yeah, if you want to see, go watch that video with Molly. It was a lot of fun. I might revisit the highlights just to see what they're like. I'm so out of even after 24 miles last week, I'm still having to build it up. And sadly, I'm going to have to cut this one short. I'm supporting a friend who has an exhibition on Sunday, so it's actually been a fair few days, not exactly a week. If you remember the steps that we were scared going down because it was so slippy, much different now. Although this bit is new territory because we turned down that way and went round because of all this slippy chalk, which in the wet becomes a bit deadly. So it's fine. Just another hill. That was rather knackering after the Box Hill climb and then another lesser climb, and there's been a few hills. Was not expecting it. Hopefully we'll stay on the level for a bit. Wow, I don't know what I know. And of course the ever-present offensive fence. Because it's Surrey. And you've got to have offensive fences in Surrey. It's the law. It's not often you see gravestones to horses. Quick. It's hard to read. 26 to 9, 36 to 22, 10, 44. An English thoroughbred. There's a gravestone on Fox Hill of a guy who's pre-Victorian, but he's buried upside down. Seems to be a mania for being buried upside down at one point, or under follies. Oh wow, now that's a great view. You can't really camp here because there's someone there. Not the horse might be upset. Ghost horse. And yes, I forgot to say I'm wearing the kilt. Partly in honour of Paul. He loved the idea of a hiking kilt or a tactical kilt. But also, sweat rash. Yeah. Beautiful. This is very beautiful. Scenery. Scenery. I have to do those now. Paul inspired the scenery nonsense with his chair. The whole pointing thing was Paul's, so I feel like I've got to do it now. For him. Some lack of oop. Nope, nearly did a mouldy slip there, but not in mud. It's just from Scrabble. Yeah, this would have been lethal in the wet because this is rock. Probably very old paths to cut through the rock like this. This would have turned into a stream and then become incredibly slippy. Oh, ow! Ouch. Over here. When I was moly, we came that way. And so, yeah, this is the view. We're getting into the Betchworth quarry and lime works. And here we are already. This is the lime kiln. And so I'm not going to go all the way down there again. I remember that being quite slippy, although it's probably not too bad now because it's dry. Beautiful view, and got here really quickly. We did that detour around the houses to avoid that hill. We also had a look at the rest of lime works. I need to do that today. There's not much to see actually. This is the most impressive part of it. I don't remember this motorway and highway at all. Oh, what? No, you're joking. Oh yeah, this kind of looks familiar. Yes, going up this sort of... Yes, I remember that. It seems like I blanked out the road itself. It might have been a lot quieter then. North Downs Way goes along the road after Betchworth for a bit. Luckily there is a pavement. Well, you can imagine what it'd be like if it wasn't a pavement with that amount of traffic. Oh, some actual mud. You found some mud. First mud of the trip. I really am getting affected, as I said earlier, about noise. Just that sort of 15-20 minutes of that road with the 50 cars a minute walking alongside it, and the horror of trying to cross it as well. That was fun, having to scamper across. You know, I can feel it in my shoulders. When I was coming down the hill, when I wasn't near all the traffic, shoulders were fine. As soon as I had the onslaught of noise and millions of cars and, you know, and the stress of kind of like walking right by them, even for a short period, you know, my back gets tense, everything gets tense, stress levels go up, and I feel it physically. John called this motorism. I mean, in Surrey, it's a real issue. They've cut a lot of public transport, so if you're a kid, as I was, growing up in a village in the middle of nowhere, you know, you either learn to drive, that's another car on the road, or you don't have a social life and you can get to school or work maybe by public transport, depending where you work, but otherwise that's it, you're sort of stuck there. You know, and if the roads weren't so busy like that road, then you probably find more parents happy to have their kids cycle. It's kind of an endless cycle, so to speak. Tarkin and Emily have got to go to school, so we'll take them in the 4x4. Everyone doing that means that the roads get chocker and then no one wants their kids walking or cycling along them, so you get more cars on the road. I remember John talking about they were building very big residential estates, but the roads aren't getting any bigger. The roads are like that road I showed back there. So there's a real issue with Surrey trying to save money on infrastructure, but then allowing these big projects on old brownfield sites and old aerodromes or whatever to build 2,000, 1,000, 1,500 homes and not actually build the schools or the public transport or infrastructure to support them. But that's what Surrey's doing, and it just makes the roads even more busier. It makes them less walkable. I've already talked so many times about the fact that Surrey doesn't actually have pavements, and they have a, in quotes, ecological, according to their verges, which is actually to save money again, but it means that their verges are unwalkable at this time of year. There's the high hedges with bramble and nettles, and people drive down there at 60 mile an hour. And of course there's no street lights as well. If you're walking down there, Green Sun Way or whatever, all those places, you're walking to that or walking part of that, if any of that goes along those roads, but I suspect probably would do. But Green Sand Way is in that area, so if you're walking to it, you're linking with something else. You probably will have to, hopefully you don't lose anything. That's how you lose things. Whoever trimmed this, trimmed it for shorter people, definitely. I remember doing this with Molly. It isn't just about hiking. It's about green transport, walking, hiking, cycling. You live right by the Peak District or Dartmoor, you can go off into the wilds and pretend like a lot of this doesn't exist, but the rest of us have to deal with it before we get to places like this. And quite often we don't put it in the video, but I think it's worth putting in the video and worth talking about it, because there shouldn't be those barriers to access. We should have nice green spaces on all of our doorsteps. We should have quiet spaces where we don't get attacked by a car every 2 seconds. You know, not everyone has that. I'm quite lucky where I live, there are places I can go to. But even then, in those places, we have these issues. So none of it exists in a vacuum. You know, it's all linked. Oh yes, I remember this. Molly, do you remember that? This is so difficult to get up. That then. Just nothing but mud. It's still a bit squishy now, but nothing like it was back then. Yep, that's Molly's Corner, as we're going to call it. That's where he was slipping on that video. It needs a blue plaque, really, doesn't it? Molly slipped here, 2025. Scenery. We can go on here. Scenery. Whoa. I was proud of my 45 miles I did last week Obviously this week I want to beat that, you know, maybe go up to 50, 60. Don't think I'll do 100 in how many days it is, not in a week. But yeah, I want to beat that or double it this week. You know, it's a gradual process. How you get to hike long distances, it's just sort of build it up. But what you should never do is stop. I don't go for long distance walks like I did because I wasn't doing the videos, and I really got out of the habit, which you shouldn't do. If you want to keep it up. I managed to lock myself out. That was good. When I shot that video of the chair that arrived, I forgot to take my keys out, and so there I was back, just got back on the Friday, sort of lunchtime, really tired, danger time when I'm really tired and really exhausted. I'll quite often break things or drop things over. Switched shorts because my other shorts weren't helping the sweat rash. Forgot to put my key in it, went out. Turns out my neighbour was out till Sunday. So I was locked out. My friend had a spare key, and luckily her partner was in. It was quite a long process to get my spare key. So I have to really remember not to get locked out because no one has a key at the moment. It was the state of mind I was in. Reeling from the news of Paul, just exhausted. Last week was not a good week. I'm hoping this week is going to be better. Good lunch spot. Nice quiet places like this. See, it's been lovely and quiet. Guinea cuckoos. And you can hardly hear the traffic. You might hear the train occasionally that go by, and the odd plane, but it's lovely and quiet. It was a quiet place to have a very belated lunch at 6 o'clock until a strange woman came and did a circle around me, shouting down her phone. That's Reigate for you. Because I'm so close, I'm like a mile away from Reigate Hill, and just literally Collie Hill is just around the corner. It's just after 6, so I am thinking of heading for the next destination, which looks to be this kind of possible places in Gatton Bottom. That's right by the M25, and that's going to be noisy all night. And also I don't know if there's any water down there, but I see there's a pub at White Hill, and also a very interesting tower, really like Leith Tower. Loads of forests and woods around there. Long section around Merstham, which seems to be very not campy. I'm going to head for White Hill because I don't really want to hang around, although I really wanted to camp, and I'll do it at some point. I really wanted to camp on Reigate Hill. I'm going to get there about, I don't know, 6:30, 7. I don't really want to hang around for 2 hours waiting for it to go dark. I'd much rather do some hiking, but we'll see how we feel. I cut down a lot of weight. It's a gradual process. It's not like you can go, okay, don't take that, and you've got this tent, and you've got this lightweight thing. Oh, you are. No. It's like you keep chiseling away, and they say don't pack your fears, but unfortunately, as I say, the gluten-free thing and all of the eczema, sweat rash, skin issues I have. I did 100 miles and a 20L pack type stuff. You know, I can't do that stuff. I can't do the really super ultralight stuff or the fast packing stuff. I really love these banks. Yeah, I love these. I always talk about ancient trackways, but I suspect this is pretty old. Beautiful. Now, one of the good things about Surrey is these. Could be a brilliant place to camp as well. But we're not camping here. Wow. I mean, it's slippy at the best of times without water and mud adding to the mix. This was all mud back then. There was just nothing but a mud bath around. Remember from the video trying to battle our way through that lot. One hell of a view. Already had some nosy local ask me if I was camping out. Not like after like a long conversation, like, oh, are you hiking? Where are you going to? No, his first question was, are you camping out? I could tell when I walked up behind him, he got his phone out. Are you messaging or alerting somebody? Is he tensed up? And I walked by and said, oh, are you camping out? I said, no, I'm walking to White Hill. So I think I made the right choice to not camp here. Here be Karens. It was just like what happened, you know, being asked, where are you going? Well, on the South Downs way trip near Quinlesworth Country Park. Similar attitude. But yeah, I would much rather camp at White Hill because, if you can hear in the background, that's the M25. It'd be very noisy. Back at the strange temple. I still don't know what this is for. I know it was. There was a fountain originally, when originally built. That's not what it is now. Yeah, despite the Karens and the locals trying to stop you from camping here, I think this is Gatton Woods. There is quite a lot of good places to camp near the path. It's how you can tell it's a nosy local trying to police you, is when they immediately jump to that. It's kind of annoying because, I mean, with such a small pack, I thought I would be fairly safe from that, but no, apparently not. It's always the same. It's always older guys, sort of guys in their 60s. And that's scenery. So it says, I'm sure this is as the crow flies, Dover 66. I think it's below on that. Canterbury 59. I mentioned Gatton Park. I didn't realise it's a capability brown landscape. And it's a school. Or is it campable? I'm not going to stay around here. We passed the Reigate Fort, which I didn't take any pictures or film of this time. That's well worth visiting, the Reigate Fort. You saw the water tower. That's pretty much all of the things. Right now we're in new territory. But I'm a bit about the fact that there's this school. But we're going to pass under the M25. It's going to be about 3 or 4 miles. Still, I'd rather be a lot closer. And here is the M25. A very spooky tunnel. You could always camp down here, I suppose. There's even a little bit of earth. I don't know where that comes from. Children keep off scaffolding. I think there are bigger issues around here. It does feel like at a place where Moley would have a barbecue, or Paul would camp in that tunnel. Roundabouts and camping next to motorways is not my thing. Even though, yeah, no one's really caring about the land around the motorway. And who knows, maybe later, if I don't get to White Hill, I might be camping somewhere like that. But I'd rather not. But hedgerows like this, that's why I was looking at bivvying. Bivvy tents, bivvy bags. I think on the South Downs Way there was lots of places like this that were really campable, but not with a big tent like mine. A bivvy bag you can just get into a little space like there and just be in there, you know, which, you know, makes it a bit more flexible. You can just sleep in a hedgerow. Then you have to also spend close contact with bugs and slugs and things, which I'm less into. Hence why I was thinking about a bivvy tent or something like that. I think on this walk, fingers crossed, there is enough wood and spaces to camp in. Well, apart from the North Downs Way. I just realised I made a terrible mistake. I've followed the wrong path. I crossed over early. Back under the M25. That would explain why I haven't seen signs for the North Downs way for a while. Idiot. Not that I really would want to sleep here. I might end up having to if I don't get my move on. But yeah, I knew I was going to do some hard walking before. Now I have to do some really hard walking. I wasted 20-25 minutes. Ugh. It's so annoying. Here's the junction. Apparently she's gone that way. I went that way. North Downs way is pointing that way towards, and if you'd see, it's angled, and so it looks like it's pointing more towards that way. But actually it's this way. Don't believe the signs, children. Don't believe the signs. Assuming that's the remains of the Capability Brown landscape at Gatton Park. Very beautiful. Yeah, one of the things I didn't want to do at this time of night is go to a school. You see, they're broken, so I think it's this way. I don't know. Walkers who stray from the path and expect to be challenged. Yeah, I'm not planning to stray from the path, I just want to get through here. Old part of the garden. But yeah, I was not expecting to be in a school. North Downs Way goes through a school. And army cadets as well. Okay. That's the school. It says closed, but the North Downs Way isn't closed, I think. Maybe it's just a paranoia about something about walking around a school at 8 o'clock at night. It's like, oh no, 8:30. I did not intend to do that. See what I mean? Actually, apparently it goes this way. You wouldn't know it from the sign. And golf courses. Ugh. I'm just speed walking. Spent a bit too long around Reigate Hill, and then guess what? I go the wrong way. Yeah, this is kind of weird. That is the golf course. It's sort of a rough section. Yeah, I won't camp on a golf course. Beginning to regret this. It's kind of a weird place to be walking through. We had the school, and now we've got a golf course. And then we'll cross over the M25 again, properly this time. Nope. I can't really slow down because it's nearly 9 o'clock. The pub is open till 11. Really don't want to turn up with a pack on, asking for water. So I've done 10 miles. I've got a few more to go. I got a J2O because I found an open pub at Merstham. There's a really nice pub called The Feathers. So yeah, I mean, it's not alcoholic, it's just hop, but it's nice to have something cold. And I had a water refill as well, so that means I don't have to stress out about getting to the, is it Haymaker? The pub in White Hill. I can just, if I find somewhere between there and here, and just come back to the M25 with excitement. Nice church. It was a bit dark to see it. It would have been nicer. It would have been lighter. I would have got here half an hour ago. Silly detour. You crossed 2 railway lines right next to each other. Must be completing lines or something. See, I'm not sure why they're giving this tour of suburbia. It's like Long Ditton on steroids. Bigger houses, but the same deal. I just want to get off this road as soon as possible. But this is the North Downs Way. It goes through this Surrey £1 million estate. Crossing the other M25. There's possible around here. There's the odd bit, but I think I want to press on. I've guided some lost bikers who needed to get back to the road. I'd rather be away from the road, to be honest. Closed till morning 4. What the hell? I'm not going round. I don't know why they closed it till morning. Hopefully not shooting. That wasn't an official sign at all. So yeah, scale maybe the closed gate because I don't have time to detour around. In fact, I don't know how the M25 is in the way. I don't know how. Let's see if I can get through here without attracting attention. Hence not having the light on. And we got to another sign. I don't know why they did that. That's really weird. I don't know why they closed off that section unofficially by tying it up. I bet you anything it's been like this for a while. But landowners, eh? See if we can get over it. I couldn't really feel myself going over it. I'm tempted to get my scissors out and snip all the gate. I don't have time. But it was a really short section, just that little bit to the road. And no indication of why it was closed. It's just the landowner being an arse, it seems, because there's no issues there. Really didn't need that. Really did not need that at this time. Okay, where to now go? This is a beautiful scene there. It's not cold, well, maybe because I'll be climbing over gates, 2 of them. Permission of the footpath, if it's like a North Downs way, it's not something you can just rescind. You can't go, oh, I've got something on, can we come back tomorrow? That's not something you can do with one of the major national trails. You can formally rescind permission. It gets to be rerouted, but you can't just do it ad hoc. No, you can't do that. Guessing there's the lights of London. And that's Reigate and Merstham. It's 10:13, I think I found my space. It's, yeah, the path is over there, so it's nicely hidden. I want to go in the morning. It's a bit muddy but there's good leaf mulch. Lots of random things here though. Yeah. I'll have to do. I was going to go to White Hill, but I realised the actual tower itself is in a private thing. And Grubswood, I'm not sure if you can get into Grubswood. We can get the path through it, but it looks like White Hill itself might be private. So I was like, okay. About half a mile from there. But yeah, we'll clear this site and put the tent. Oh, my legs are killing me. Tent is up. I would show you maybe later or maybe tomorrow. I'm just tired. So we're going to have some noodles and we've got some sauce as well, some Aldi sauce. First I'm going to make some hot chocolate with some brandy. Yes, I brought a brandy little bottle. Not totally ultralight, but yeah, I was missing the brandy last time. But yeah, I wish this could actually just all make itself. I'm just knackered. Here's the tent. Here's where I am. I'll show you more in the morning. This, I don't know. It looks like the kind of a big metal fencing you get on water things. So I hope it's something like that. That it's some kind of public facility rather than someone's house. The wide angle doesn't really do light enhancement, does it? You can still hear the ever-present M25. It's past midnight. Had my dinner, which is some noodles and sauce. There are kind of lights shining through, I think, the trees, which initially made me think, oh, someone was coming down the path. The path is quite a way back that way. You have to look for me a bit. As long as no one comes tonight, I don't care. because it's a pilgrimage path, so there would have been pilgrims coming and going. So it's like a little pilgrim superhighway. Get the wooby out and try and chill out. No, I pulled out this accidentally. I thought something might have gone. There's the tent. So this is where I was, or am, soon to be was. Yeah, I've heard people go by. It must have been on the path. I doubt there's anyone in there. It has been very quiet. I've hardly heard, apart from that one person. I heard someone wander by, and they would have seen me, but it's been really quiet here. No one's hassled me, so I'll take that and have breakfast and get out of here. Yeah, Lunar Trace, just in time. That white car or van over there arrived. As I was taking the tent down, so yeah, trying to leave it so late next time. And hopefully no one's never there. That's a double negative. Anyway, let's get back and get walking. That was the end of day 3 of the North Downs Way. We travelled a distance of 11.1 miles and a total of 36.4 miles. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please click the like button and hit that subscribe button to see more days from this series and my other trips. And I have a question for everybody. Have you been on a national trail or a hike and had a landowner suddenly revoke access in an ad hoc fashion or cause you to redirect like that? If so, please let me know in the comments. On screen now will be the next day in the series when it's available. Otherwise it'll be the previous day. I'll speak to you soon. I hope you're well and look after yourselves.